Hey everybody, it's John again with Contract Diagnostics. I wanted to recap a call that we had with a physician just 2 days ago, actually. So this was a client that we worked with in, it was just, I think it was under a year ago, maybe a year ago. And he was providing services through a third party at a hospital. So the third party had a contract with the hospital. The physician was contracted with the third party. The third party, and he was doing fantastic. He was the only one doing this particular specialty at the facility. It took them 5 years to find the vendor, to find the physician, to then lock in the service line. And he was doing fantastic. His numbers were through the roof. He was blowing past every expectation. And the vendor said, we want to get out of this specialty. So we're not interested in having this contract anymore. It's not our vision, it's not profitable, it's not aligning with our mission and goals, whatever the case may be. So the vendor calls the hospital and says, hey, we're going to terminate our contract with you. We have a contract with the physician. So we have a non-compete with the physician. So if you'd like to retain the physician, let's see what we can work out. And so the hospital and the vendor then, of course, agreed. The hospital said, we love the physician, we'd love if he stuck around. And so they worked out a deal where the non-compete would go away, and the hospital would then offer which was our client before, and now our repeat client, a new contract with new terms. Now the hospital said that they didn't even know what the terms were of the other ones because they didn't have the terms of the vendor contract with the physician. They just had their contract terms with the vendor. So they didn't know what the physician was making. So they said, we're going to make him an offer. And they made him an offer. And he chose the negotiation package. So we were on the phone with the employer discussing how they set compensation. And they said, John, we just looked at the numbers, we looked at some data, and we felt this was best we could do. They didn't take into account what he was making before. They didn't even know. And they didn't know small things like the production numbers. And, they knew the production number, but they didn't know the conversion rate the physician was being paid. Or like I said, the base salary or the benefits or the number of weeks of vacation or the matching of the 401k plan. And what the hospital had for vacation was less than the vendor was offering. What the hospital had for a 401k was less than the vendor had. What the hospital was offering for pay was more, but the bonus structure was less and it had a higher threshold. So there's all these changes that the physician, just a few months into the job, is going through, and after doing fantastic in the job, and he's now going through, okay, I'm going to have a dotted line now to this. I guess instead of a dotted line, I'm going to have a direct line to the hospital in terms of my employment. My benefits are all going to change. How does that impact our physicians and my family and their healthcare? My 401k is going to change. How does that impact things? My salary is going to change. The number of RVUs I've got to produce to get a bonus is going to change. So just, however many months into the position, he had to start reevaluating all of these things. Now, he loved the community, he loved the facility, and he wanted to move forward. So in working with the employee, which is still ongoing, we're trying to find ways to maximize his compensation because he's losing 3% on the retirement plan from an employer's perspective, and that stacks quite a bit over time. He's losing, as of now, 2 weeks of vacation. And 2 weeks of vacation is not something that's small. That's a big difference in compensation and in satisfaction of the job, or work-life balance, or burnout is the term that a lot of folks are using. So there's a lot of things that we are trying to clean up with this employer, but just know if you have a vendor contract and the vendor has a contract with the hospital, that contract could end. They may or may not enforce the non-compete with the hospital, so you may not be able to stay. You may be replaced by a whole nother contract or a whole nother team of physicians. You may be allowed to stay. There's all types of things that can happen when these vendor contracts go south, and there's little that you can do about it because your contract is with them. You can't control what they're doing with the hospital and with the with the hospital that they are contracted with. So if that ever comes up with you, if you ever need someone to turn to, of course, reach out to us here at Contract Diagnostics. But no, it's not uncommon to have that happen. And if so, most of the time it's a smooth process. Now, they may force a contract on you and say, here's our terms, sign it, or you're out of a job, and we'll enforce a non-compete. They may give you a contract and give you a short turnaround time. We've had a group of hospitalists receive a contract from the hospital in this transition process on a Friday and said it's due Monday morning. So don't let them get away with that stuff. If you need any guidance, pop over to Contract Diagnostics. We'll be here to help in any way that you guys need. Have a great rest of the week, and I look forward to talking with you all soon.